Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my best friend and co-host D-Lo, and we are Part of My Wisdom. First of all, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Of course, this past week was Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody is blessed and thankful for everything. But we got some real good content today. But first, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to comment, leave a comment. We try to comment and talk to everybody that leaves a comment. So make sure you do those three things. But my boy D-Lo, man, how was the last week for you? How was your Thanksgiving, brother?
My Thanksgiving was good, man. I know people tired of hearing me say this every week, but it's the truth. Spent time with the family.
Of course.
Had some good meals for the last couple of days. Been eating the same thing last 3 days.
Better listen to Plies, though. Better listen to Plies.
Oh yeah, today's the last day. Today was
For
the
sure.
last day we ate it. We actually went and got some food just not too long ago. So yeah, today was the last day that we ate that food. Good time with the family. Some of her people came for a day just to chill. Other than that, overall good little break that we had and rejuvenated, ready to get back to it. What about you, man? How was your holidays?
For sure. Of course, I'm away from everybody, so mine was a little bit different. My last two Thanksgivings been a
You're
little
not
bit
away
different.
from everybody though. Don't say that.
Yeah, I'm away from everybody.
Okay.
Of course, I got Sam here.
That's what I'm saying. You
Well,
there
so
for a
that's
reason.
the reason why I came here for sure.
Yeah,
But about 99% of my family is back on the East Coast in
for
North
sure.
Carolina. So, my actual Thanksgiving day was me by myself. Just chilling, watching football, just kind of relaxing or whatever. But me and Sam had our little mini Thanksgiving today. I posted a picture of it on Instagram. Pop up, probably gonna be right here. So yeah, so we did that today. It was fun, man. Me and Sam prepped everything last night, cooked everything, saying this morning, so that way I can be able to do this and not be, my time be taken up. I'm full, and I kind of got the itis. She in there sleep, but we're gonna make this thing happen. So my Thanksgiving was cool. My Thanksgiving was cool.
Bet.
So yeah, man.
Bet.
So as far as the topics, bro, what we got, man?
Man, this one, I don't know where this gonna go today, but we're gonna talk about Jerry Jones and the pictures that has circulated with him being involved in the denial of Black students desegregating the school in Little Rock, Arkansas. We're gonna learn about what AAVE stands for, African American Vernacular English. And then we're going to talk about Marcus Stokes and his scholarship being revoked by the University of Florida because of a video that surfaced and him using the N-word.
Facts, man. Facts.
So let's get right into it, my boy.
So listen, man. So as far as Jerry Jones, bro. So this video was published this past week on Wednesday, actually, day before Thanksgiving of all days, of a video of a 14 going on 15-year-old Jerry Jones back in 1957. He was a little bit back in the picture, but he was close enough to see what was going on. But he was there kind of like observing some other Caucasian kids giving some pushback to some Black kids trying to desegregate North Little Rock High School, again, back in 1957. So it was a different time, number one, in our country. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
At the time, the race war was, it's still going on today, but it was a little bit more rampant back in the day, of course, in 1957, before the 60s, for sure. And this is whenever the Supreme Court was trying to rule against schools being segregated. And they were trying to urge every school across the nation to desegregate their schools. And it was a time that we were fighting for equal rights for people of color. Now, of course, a protest erupted and white students tried to block the students from entering the building. And Jerry Jones said from his position, and this is, of course, all he say, she say, the Washington Post is doing their investigations, just trying to figure out why some organizations haven't hired any black coaches and everything for their organizations. So, of course, Jerry Jones is one of those guys over his tenure as the owner of the team has not hired a black head coach. Now, he
Mm,
has black people in his organization working for him, in different positions, assistant coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, some people in front office and stuff like that. He has people of color in his organization, but he has never had a black head coach. But going back to the picture, he said he was there just out of curiosity. He was there just like kind of like, oh, what the hell going on? Like that's what he said. So and I'm kind of with him. You know what I'm saying? Not just because I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. But
mhm,
I'm one of those realistic ones that'll tell you if they suck, they suck. So I'm not here out of my heart. I'm here with my head. So I'm just kind of
mhm,
just want to draw that parallel. But
mhm.
I'm kind of with. I mean, you don't know. We weren't born in '57. We weren't there whenever it happened. So we don't know if he was there like looking like get those N words out of here. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what was said
Right.
what happened at the time. So I mean, you can only believe what he say. And if he say he was there just out of curiosity, I mean, you got to take his word for it. Honestly, what you think?
Uh, I can't. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but even if I was, I don't think I would take what Jerry Jones is saying as fact at this point in time.
Okay.
Now, I will say I can't fault him for decisions that he made 65 years ago, but being the fact that it was 65 years ago, knowing that the racial climate that the country was in at the time,
Mm-hmm.
him being there and him today saying it was out of mere curiosity, I find that hard to believe.
Okay.
If he just fess up to it and say, yeah, um, you know, 65 years ago, the decisions I made, the feelings that I had, the thoughts that I was thinking weren't aligned with who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
I think the public would be able to stomach that just because, we did go through that ugliness, ugly time, uh, ugly period of time where white people were not allowing black or did not want allow black people to integrate their schools and learn the same type of curriculum that their children were learning, or
Mm-hmm.
didn't even want to, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, didn't want to live in the same neighborhoods as black people, which is what we had redlining and whatnot. So as much as I want to believe Jerry Jones and I'm good for giving people the benefit of the doubt,
Mm-hmm.
knowing the times, I can't say that I'm going to extend that to him at this point
Okay.
in time. Now,
Okay.
that being said, I can't be mad for something that happened 65 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if people were to dig up stuff on us from 15, 14 and 15 just 20 years ago,
True.
how would we be? How would we feel? You know what I
True.
mean? He's a kid. He was a kid at the time. So I can't be mad at that decisions that he made at 14 and 15, especially in the 60s.
Especially, and I mean, oh, but see, I was kind of on the side with Stephen A. Smith, and I don't know if you saw what he said, but he was saying that this was an attempt of them bringing upon cancel culture, which is what we talked about the last couple of episodes,
Yeah.
how rampant cancel culture is now, and he was saying that this is just an attempt to bring cancel culture on Jones, since he has never hired a black coach, and from what Stephen A. Smith said, you're making an attempt to eradicate him. By the way, I don't have a problem with the photo. If he was 30, 35, 40 years old, that's different. But for him to be 14 to 15 years old, we're going to lean on somebody who was 14, born and raised in the South, and we're going to pick it up 65, 66 years later. He said, you know something, he ain't hired a black coach. That's pretty low. But if he was an adult when this happened, it would be different. That's what he said. And I mean, I'm just trying to figure out honestly why. Like, why did this resurface? Like, I don't. They say it's because they're investigating some, trying to figure out why some owners ain't hired black coaches. But it's like, why 65 years later, bro? Like, why resurface this picture? It's been out there for years, 65 years. It hasn't been hidden from anybody. So why now bring this up?
Well, I mean, like you said, they're trying to dig into the psychology and maybe the business practices of Jerry Jones and why he
Mm-hmm.
has not been or has not hired a black head coach. And
Mm-hmm.
again, this is around the time right now we're talking about current day in the football season. this is around the time where you start to hear in the NFL, especially in college football, where the coaching hot seats or coaches that are on the hot seat start to become heavy in the rumor mill. And
Mhm.
so the Washington Post is probably writing this in anticipation that maybe the current coach for the Cowboys or is going to be on the hot seat. So they're trying to push the the agenda that maybe it's time for Jerry Jones to take a look at some of these minority coaches,
Mhm.
because what we do know is that the Cowboys and Jerry Jones are at the forefront and in the power seat when it comes to making things happen in the NFL. And it was written in that Washington Post article as well. So if
Mhm.
Jerry Jones is to, step out of his current business practices and hire a black head coach, then it would probably be more easy. It would be easily or more followed by other organizations in the NFL that have not hired, just because of the position and the stance that, or the power stance that, am I saying that right? The
Yeah,
power position that the Cowboys sit in
very true.
with the NFL. But you look at some of the other positions outside the head coach for the
Mhm.
Cowboys and some of those higher level positions, other than general manager and the head scout and all that stuff for the Cowboys, they do currently have a vice president of
Player
player or
relations,
dir- player
player person
relations.
I think it's either player relations or player personnel, one of the 2, but yeah.
Right. So he
Mhm.
he is black.
Mhm.
They've had well, they haven't had a black coordinator in a couple years, but they have had multiple black coordinators.
Mhm.
I just think the reason I say all that to say the reason that this article was wrote in the way that it was written, that's the right way to say it, was written
Yeah.
in the way that was written is because that they are trying to pull in all angles to get a view of how Jerry Jones may or may not be running his business, and draw parallels between his upbringing,
Mhm.
his current personal life, and how he handles business with the Cowboys.
True, and I mean, but see, this is the thing though, because I don't want this to be one of those things where it's like, okay, now Jerry Jones has to hire a black head coach. I mean,
Mhm.
he ain't got to. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
to me, I mean, it's not that serious, honestly. Because I mean, but see, the way it could from what he's there was a thing I know you know about it. There's a thing called the Rooney Rule, right?
Mhm.
That came out back in 2001, I think, where every front office of every organization in the NFL has to at least interview a minority coach, right? For
Right.
every position. And he's always and he's actually done some things in the past that's had them actually kind of, change the rule a little bit because he interviewed Dennis Green over the phone.
Mhm.
Like, I interviewed him, nigga. Like, so you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
like, well, I didn't mean to say that N word. That's kind of making it seem like Jerry Jones said that. But anyway, I interviewed him. You know what I'm saying? But
Maybe he did.
you're right. Maybe you never know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he definitely he has interviewed at least that. But from what he
Mhm.
says is that his decisions to hire these people are not based off of race; is based off of business. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
particularly saying it's part in which the relationships you have with people and players. And he
Right.
says
And I
as an advisor, using any skill and talent you've got financially, you have to have relationships more than you have to have, this person of color.
Mhm.
That's what he's saying. So I mean, but he's had, like you said, he's got, Will Clay, that's the guy, the vice president of player personnel. His name is Will Clay. Got black assistant coach. His name is Rob Davis. Strength and conditioning coaches Harold Nash and Kendall Smith. And Cedric Smith. But he's got black people in his organization. He just never had a head coach, which is what's drawn all of this, which is what's drawn all this attention.
well, I think it's for me. A couple of sentences back, you said it's not that big of a deal. Why would you say it's not that big of a deal? Um, and it's not to attack you or anything
No, no,
like
no. I
that.
got
I'm just trying to figure out, because I think it is a big deal when you have more than 75, 80% of a league
you. Hmm.
that is a particular race,
Hmm.
but currently there's only 2, maybe 3 coaches that are in the head position.
Hmm.
Um, So I'm not saying like it's a big deal that the Cowboys hire a black coach, but why would you say it's not a big deal for black coaches to get the opportunity?
I'm not saying it's not a big deal for them to get the opportunity. I'm saying it's not a big deal that they didn't get hired. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So in a sense of you're going to have the opportunity. Every organization outside of football, every business is going to hire the best person for the job. And if you're not
Right.
the best person for the job, then you don't deserve that position. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
So,
So so then you come back with what you just also said that Jerry Jones said is it's about the relationships.
mhm,
We know that well, I don't want to say we know, but from what we see,
mhm,
people of certain statuses and races, they silo themselves into, you know, specific groups. And so, you know, Jerry Jones has two things working for him that would keep him away or keep him from making certain relationships.
mhm,
One is his money.
mhm,
His money sets him apart from 99% of America.
mhm,
So he's already in a small percentage of people that he would communicate with on an ongoing basis.
mhm,
The other one is his race, his color.
mhm, mhm,
That sets him apart as well. So you take his money and his race and you put him in this specific corner. Other than playing for him, how do you get an opportunity to make a relationship with a person such as Jerry Jones? And so for me, that business practice is okay. It makes sense when he was the Jerry Jones that was coming up in the oil and the oil and gas industry, and he's trying to make his way, and he was making a little bit of money, and he was able to rub elbows with XYZ. But for somebody, for Jerry Jones now, that business practice it's not a functional one because you can't necessarily say, "Well, I make my decisions based off of relationships," because
mhm.
you don't have a lot. Okay, I shouldn't say you don't have a lot of relationships, but from the outside looking in, you don't have a lot of relationships to where you can communicate with people across
Minority, but minorities.
minority races. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, let me
yeah,
let me let me draw this parallel then. So for as long as I can remember, I've always heard the phrase "It's not what you know, it's who you know." Right?
right.
You hear that all the time, right?
Mhm,
Now, say for instance, Mike McCarthy, who is the head coach for the Cowboys, let's say he
mhm,
retires after this year, right? You
mhm,
have an assistant coach right now in Rob Davis, who has that relationship with Jerry Jones. At least I would hope he does. He's in the organization. He's coaching for him. Hopefully, he has some kind of good relationship with Jerry Jones. He would be one of those people who would be able to interview for this position. Now, in the game in the sports world, some most of the time it's not what you know, it's who you know, but you have to know something about the sport to be able to coach it correctly. A la Steve Nash. He just knew
mhm,
people. He ain't
mhm,
know nothing about coaching, but he knew the game a little bit. He played the game for a while, and he knew. So, but to get off of that, he knew more people than what he knew about actually coaching the sport. Rod
mhm,
Davis is in the organization. He's coaching every single week. He's in there. He's been there for, I think I wrote down 5 seasons now with the Cowboys. So he has that that tenure within the organization. He has that relationship with Jerry Jones. He should be one of those people. I would assume he would be one of those people that would get an interview to head coach for the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? He's a man of minority. So I do agree with what you're saying that that 1% is probably mostly people with his same amount of money and his same racial background,
mhm.
but he does have some people who we can actually. But the reason why I say it's not that big of a deal to me because I'm always a component of best man for the job should get the job.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that just because, a coach is black, he should automatically get a job
Right. Right.
if
Right.
he's interviewed for it.
Right.
But what you said to me was kind of I mean, it was kind of triggering just a little
I
bit
got you. I got
because
you.
well,
I
and
didn't
not
mean it like
just
that though. I didn't mean it like that.
no.
Yeah.
I know I'm not well, I shouldn't say it was triggering to me. I'm sure it could be triggering to other individuals,
Mhm.
because there are I know for a fact there are now this is fact, there are or have been many coaches, black coaches, minority coaches that were
Mhm.
qualified for to get a job,
I can
but
give
they
you a
did
couple of
not.
them actually.
Exactly, but they did not because, well, we don't know why. They were perceived not to be the best coach, but,
Mhm,
you mentioned that he interviewed we're talking about Jerry Jones still.
mhm,
He interviewed Danny Green by phone,
mhm,
but in the same breath, when you say he, hires based off relationships. He hired Jimmy Johnson because he was his college roommate. He hired
mhm,
Barry Switzer because he also was from Arkansas
mhm.
and went to so, how do you get and Arkansas back then was they were all white teams if I recall, so
If I recall, yeah.
those relationships could not have been created in college. He was in the oil and gas industry, which
Mhm,
I'm pretty sure was also predominantly white. So how
mhm.
do you create relationships with a person such as Jerry Jones and also put yourself in the position to become a head coach for the Dallas Cowboys? And again, it's not a knock on Jerry Jones,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I just
I mean,
want
you can knock
I
them. I mean, because it does seem it is triggering. It does seem kinda sideways, honestly. It does
yeah,
seem like
and
that. From the outside
right.
looking in, of course, yeah.
Outside looking in, exactly. But and I think he has taken steps to put himself in the forefront of creating diversity in the NFL.
Mhm,
But then you look at his internal team's practices at the key position, and
mhm.
we're just not seeing that effort there. Will he do it before he relinquishes his control of the team? It remains to be seen, but
True. I
I
mean,
think
yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I ain't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Nah, it was just going back to your point you made. Of course, like as we all know, we said it a couple of times. He's only had white headed coaches.
Mhm,
But before hiring Mike McCarthy, he interviewed Marvin Lewis. Before
mhm,
hiring Bill Parcells, he interviewed Dennis Green. Before hiring Wade Phillips, he interviewed Ron Rivera, Jim Caldwell, and Mike Singletary. So he's
mhm,
interviewed a bunch of black people, minority
mhm.
people for this job. I guess they just didn't have the relationship, and that it does come off. And like I said, I always say I'm glad we had these conversations because it kind of brings a different perspective to my thought process. So it's
Mhm.
like it does seem like he's hiring people who he's hella close with, and if he
Right,
don't know you, he ain't gonna fuck with you. That's what it seemed
right.
like.
Because
But I
also
think but I think that's regardless of race though. I think that's regardless of race.
I don't know because even, Garrett, what's his
Jason
last
Garrett,
name?
Jason
Jason
Garrett.
Garrett was the son of who? Somebody really close to him,
Well, nah, but Jason Garrett played for the Cowboys too, though.
but he also was the son of somebody close to him too,
Mhm.
or
I don't know.
the husband of somebody something like there was some type of relationship there that they had to where it's like he was maybe within arm's reach of a relationship with Jerry Jones. And that's all I'm saying is how do we as black people create those relationships with the people that make those type of decisions that have that type of power to put ourselves in that position without brown nosing because that's really all it's going to
True,
end up being is us
true.
brown nosing to get to where we need to be and that puts us in a position of weakness.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's a weird time for Jimmy for Mr. Jones right now because I do agree he needs to do a little bit. But he's done. It's not like he hasn't done anything though. I just don't want this to be a situation where he hires a black head coach just be like, okay, I did it. You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't
Like,
think that's the thing.
but I
I
don't
don't
think
think
he's
he
gonna do that
will.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
regardless, I don't, he's gonna do what he's been doing
yeah.
and what has worked for his franchise for the last 30 plus years. Um, I just and I don't fault him for any of his business
Hmm.
practices. What's worked for him is what's worked for him. You pick the best person that you think is good, the best for the job for the role that you're trying to hire for. That goes across any industry.
True.
I think so bringing it back full circle to the pitcher
Hmm.
and to his response to everything, I think it would have been better had he said yes. Well, he did admit that was him. He couldn't. Well, okay,
Couldn't
well,
deny that, of
let's back
course.
up real quick. You
Yeah.
can't deny it, but for me, how do you look at a picture of him at 14, like, "Oh, shit, that's Jerry Jones." I look at a picture I look
True.
at a picture and know it's Jerry Jones and still be like, "How the hell do they know that's Jerry Jones?" Anyway, besides the point.
That's what I'm saying.
It'd have been better if he'd have said, like I said earlier, "Yes, that was me. My decisions and my thought patterns back then are way different than where they are now," because then that leaves decisions that he makes today to be open to interpretation because we don't
But he
know
did
what
say that
his
though.
true.
He did say
Did
that.
he?
He said I didn't. And this is a direct quote from him after the Thanksgiving game. It says I didn't know at the time the monumental event really that was going on. I'm sure glad that we're a long way from that now. He said I really am. That reminds me to just continue to do everything we can not to have those kinds of things happen again. That's what he said.
So
So
so he
go ahead,
said
go ahead.
we're a long way from that now, but he
Mhm.
didn't say my thought pattern back then is different than it is today. It's a difference.
True. I mean,
It's a difference.
but nobody's going to come out and openly just say because you can assume anything about anybody. You can assume that Jerry Jones is racist.
Exactly.
You can assume that, but nobody's going to just
Exactly.
if he was to come out and say that, that would just be admitting that he is right.
Yeah, but okay, so it would admit that he was, right? Because again, we're talking about a time where it was normal for a person of a different
True.
color to be racist. It was normal for them to not want to be near us. It was
Hmm.
normal for them want to continue to be segregated from us.
Hmm.
So it would be if he said it was okay, if he said that was to me. Now I
Hmm.
know a lot of people think way differently than I do, but
Right.
if he was to say, yes, that was me and my thought pattern at the time was I was trying to keep the kids out of the school, but I was young. I was ignorant. I knew no difference. That was the only thing that I knew.
Hmm.
I
But
don't think like that
now,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
As evidenced by XYZ. Okay, bro, I get it. Cause you're talking about he was born what, 1940?
He's 82 now.
So 1940 sometimes.
Hmm.
He was born into to hatred.
Facts.
Now, in the same article, it talks about how his dad worked with the black community, allowed them into his store without having to come through the back. So, he might not have thought that. That
Hmm.
may not have been Jerry Jones' thought process. He might have been just there out of curiosity.
But
But
even with that even with that curiosity comment, just like you said, if you would have just been like, "Hey, yes, back then this was normal to think this way,"
exactly, that's
but
what I'm saying. Yes.
now, even out of curiosity, now I don't. That's not my thought process anymore. I don't have that same thought process. Then so I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm picking up
But
what you're putting down.
again, it's always a complex it's always complex situations that we talk about, and this is truly a complex situation because
Yes.
with my train of thought and saying what I just said, that would probably open him up to a whole nother can of worms of
Hmm.
what exactly his psychology and his mindset is about blacks in the NFL, blacks in general, when he just, diplomatically said, yeah, that's me. And let's move on. I have nothing else to say about it.
Hmm. True, true. I mean, I think my final wisdom on this now is is there a big possibility that he was just saying that curiosity comment to save face? 100%. There's a big possibility
Mhm.
of that. And the fact that he hasn't hired a black coach ever, is not making it better. It kind of shows
Mhm.
that, you know what I'm saying? But he like we said earlier, he does have, black people of color in his organization as far as, hired some guys who are in player personnel like vice president positions and coaching positions and strength and conditioning coach positions. And so he does have some black people in his organization, but do I believe that he quote unquote needs to hire a black coach? No.
Mhm.
But should
Yeah.
he? Probably. I mean, if that person is, the one for the job, I believe that he should get the job. And I think Jerry Jones will eventually do that. If the relationship's not just messing. But I think it'll happen eventually for Jerry Jones. He just gotta find the right fit.
Yeah.
What you think?
I don't think I'm with you on the hiring part. I don't think he has to. And even this year, I don't know if there is a qualified, I won't say qualified, but if there's a high enough caliber minority coach, black coach that is would be up for candidacy to be the head coach for the Cowboys or any other team.
Mhm,
But my whole deal with all of this is, it really, two things popped into my head is, we're not as far removed from some of the ugliest times in our country's history as we think we are.
mhm.
I mean, Jerry Jones was 14 when this happened, and he's still here,
Under fire
still
for it. Yep.
and still under fire for it. And that was, I didn't even think that, but he's still, in positions of power to make
True.
decisions in our country. And not just him, we're talking about government officials that are making policy for our country. We're talking about people on police forces that are enforcing the policies in our country.
Yeah.
So we're not far removed. We're not as far removed from this as we think we are. And then secondly, I wasn't surprised that he was there. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody that is in a position of our power were in events, or involved in events like this.
Mhm.
But with that being said, I think it's time that we try to find a way to move on from this, these racial tense times in our future, and look for ways in which we can come together as a country and not look at race as the defining point of who somebody is and what they
True.
can do for you. And like you said, hire the best person, but I also feel like you need to, at some point in time, the numbers within a country or within a company should somewhat reflect um, the statistical numbers of the country,
Mhm.
because then that means that true equality is coming through in all phases of what we do as a country.
I agree. I agree. So if you guys have any comments about that, make sure you put them down below. Also, like, comment, subscribe to the video. Yeah, and we on to the next one. What we got for the
100.
AAVE, bro?
Yeah, so you introduced me to a topic this week, to something new I'd never heard of, and that was the African American Vernacular English. So, we engage in this type of dialogue every day.
Every single day.
Every single day we engage in it. Um, and when you first sent it to me, I was like, "What is this? What are you talking about?" And then I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, I say stuff like this every day." And back when we were, ironically, 13, 14, maybe a little bit before that, we were told, "No, you don't need to talk like that. You need to talk in standard English so people can understand you."
Mhm.
Um, anyway, so the African American Vernacular English is a language that has been derived from, it's said to be Ebonics. It's
Mhm.
also debated of who actually created the language. Is it current Gen Z, or is it derived from back in the day?
Mhm.
Um, Last thing I'll say about it, and I'll turn over to you with a question, is it's also being said that non-blacks cannot use this language.
Oh god.
So, with that being said, Sticks, what are your thoughts on AAVE?
Bro. So the reason why I brought this up is because number one, it's like you said, it's derived from Ebonics, and it's
Mhm,
derived from bad or incorrect English, which is why you said back in the day, our parents used to say, "Nah, like when you around people and when you speaking people, speak in good English. Like, don't
yep,
say we bout to, or you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. Like, so because we have to make sure that in certain situations we're presenting ourselves well.
mhm,
So words like these, and a lot of these words are things that everybody can say. I don't think it's anything that I would say some of them, but well, honestly, all of them, honestly, but
all of them.
all of them, honestly. But it's like I feel like this is something that we as a because a lot of people are arguing that the black community created this this
Mhm,
this this language. They're trying to push it as a language now. Like, and
mhm,
it's like, who? is gonna stop somebody that's not black from saying dead ass? Who's gonna stop somebody who is not black from saying woke? Who is gonna stop somebody who's not black for saying cap? Who cares, bro? Who
Mhm.
honestly cares? I mean, it's like there were a couple of people that are major streamers, and I'm pretty sure I don't think you watch a lot of YouTube or even streams or Twitch for that matter. But there was a couple of streamers who were not black that were trying to be canceled for saying no cap or no
They
kizzy.
were trying to get canceled?
They were trying to cancel or the minority community. I'm not just gonna
Oh,
say
they were
black.
trying to
They
cancel
were
them.
trying
Yeah,
to
yeah, they were.
cancel this. It was an Asian girl and a white boy who
Mhm.
was saying no cap on their stream, and the minority community were trying to cancel them for using AAVE. Like
Okay.
what, bro? Like, come on, man. Like, us as a community, we're taking this way too far. It is honestly
Mhm.
not that serious, bro. Like, I can't even see any. I'm looking at the list of words here now. Like, period, as fuck, child, bae, boo, sus, simp, hella. Like, come on, bro.
Mhm.
Fam, fam. People can't say fam. Like, I don't understand, bro. And like, I don't get it. Me personally, I don't understand. Like, everybody can say these words in different situations, and it's not even to say that people who are not in our community didn't grow up in similar situations as our community. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? They probably, it's probably a lower majority of those people who have, but if they grew up around people like us that say these words, and this is now in their environment, people are a product of their environment. So
Mhm.
if this is in their environment, they're automatically going to be a sponge, and those things are going to be indoctrinated within them. So, is me personally, as long as they don't say the GA or hard R, I'm good. I don't personally care. As long as they don't say
Yeah.
that, I'm cool, bro. Like, you can be who you are, dog. Like, we don't need to try to keep other people from saying different things. And if that's the case, then let's not just stop there. The term dead ass originated in New York. So if you ain't from New York, don't say dead ass, right? If we gonna stop there, like, come on, bro. Like, let's not do this, bro. Like, this is just a way of separating and splitting people apart again, bro. And this shit is dumb to me. What you think?
And you know how I feel about that. I can't stand, I mean, in some regard, we have to be separate, but in most regard, we don't have to be separate in any type of category that they put us in other than male, female, we don't have to be separated. Like religion separates us, um, class separates us,
Mm-hmm.
our racial the construct of race separates us, and it's done intentionally. So I don't think this needs to be the case. How I feel about it is, I really don't know how to feel about it. On one hand, it's like it's great we get to communicate how we've been communicating with all of our close friends and relatives for the longest, and it's official. It has some order to it. On the other hand, our parents told us back in the day not to talk like this and to learn how to communicate with um, those outside of our race
Mm-hmm.
so that we can present ourselves in a great fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's like I really don't know how to feel, but I do have a couple of questions. If we are gonna, take this to the full extent, the
What's
questions
good?
that I have is, what's the ultimate goal of this? For making this an official language, are we going to continue to use this as a way to communicate with our friends on social medias,
Mm-hmm.
or whenever we link up, or are there plans to make it more widely used? Which we know right now they're saying other races can't use AAVE. Um, how do we officially teach it? If we're going to use it, how do we officially teach it?
Right.
Right? And then the other one is, why are other races discouraged with using it? My last question would be, do we want it to be our own code language? So, like back in slavery time, they had ways in which they communicated with each other. Cornrows was a way they communicated the map,
Mm-hmm.
or how to run the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Songs used to be a way in how they communicated to, do such things, and why they told us that we couldn't read and write. So is it going to be our code language? Is that the intent, so that we can have open conversations right in front of somebody about something that we intend to do?
Mhm.
What is the ultimate goal of this? Is my question.
So
Uh,
this is what I think the ultimate goal is, and just kind of seeing a couple of videos on this and doing some research and reading some articles on things. It's the ultimate goal is not to make this thing widespread. The ultimate goal, from what I've researched, this is what I've seen from a couple of articles and videos, is that the the black community is trying to keep it
mhm,
for themselves. That's
mhm,
the ultimate goal. They're not trying to teach it to nobody else. They don't want nobody else to use it. They don't. It should be just hours and hours alone.
mhm,
That's what the ultimate goal is, which is why they tried to cancel Valkyrie. That was the Asian girl who used no cap. They tried to cancel XQC for saying no cap. That was the white guy that
mhm.
used no cap. They tried to cancel these two people for using these things on stream, and it's like it's not that serious. But as far as teaching it, they don't want to. Of course, I just
Mhm.
said that. But as far as it's they're trying to make it to where us as people, the black community, we can use this in professional settings as well.
Mhm.
Because it was an article that I was looking. I actually have it up right here, where there were a couple that this let me make sure I say this right. But the state news back in was shoot a couple of days ago actually, they did an article with a couple of black guys and a couple of black girls, some people in the black community, where they get tired of code switching. You know what code switching
Mhm.
is?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Going
I
going
code switch all
from
the time.
going from AAVE to proper English, right?
Mhm.
And they're trying to get AAVE to be acceptable within professional settings, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that's another goal of this thing, is of AAVE, should be
So
more socially acceptable in professional settings. I don't understand why they would want to do that. This is
so
literally improper slang English that we're using. So why would you want to use this at your, I can use, my job is a little bit more free. I can go up to my manager and say, "What's up, bruh?" I can say that to him. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And he's not gonna say nothing about it. It's a little bit more free. But like whenever you in the corporate world and you higher up that ladder, like you may be a CEO or something like that, that this is not the type of language you need to be using in those settings,
But
honestly.
my thing,
But it's all
yeah,
about
my thing
relationships
though,
too. Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. But so this is my thing, and remember before we got on, I talked about the contradictory, like our humans are so contradictory.
Hmm.
What you just said is contradictory too, is that they want it to be used in a corporate setting. But if you want to be able to use it in a corporate setting, naturally, if you have it used in a corporate setting, other races are going to pick it up and start to use it. So how are you going to say other races can't use it, but you want to be able to use
Use
it
it
in a
in front of
corporate
them.
setting? That's
Exactly.
that's weird
It
to
doesn't
me.
make any sense, bro.
Yeah. So I mean, again, it's great because it means that obviously, as we know, hip hop is in the main front, is so mainstream right now,
For sure.
and is the it thing as far as genre of music is concerned, that
For sure.
everybody is trying to embrace it. But when you tell a certain group of people that they can't use language other than like derogatory terms to talk, then it's like, what are we really doing? Imagine, and this is a bad example because there are black French people, there are black Spanish people, but
Hmm.
imagine if those languages said black people couldn't use their language. How
True.
would we feel about that?
Exactly. Like if we
You
if
know,
they if they came if the Spanish people came out and said, "Oh, you can't speak Spanish no more."
right? I mean,
Everybody,
come on
all
now.
black people who speak Spanish, we're gonna cancel you. Come on,
Yeah,
bro.
it's
Like it. Come on, man. Like it's so dumb, and it's like people say that AAVE is largely misunderstood as bad or incorrect English, but it literally is.
yeah,
That's literally what it is. It's not misunderstood to be bad. It is bad language.
not all of
I
it.
mean, but no, but okay. Put it in perspective, right? The
Mhm,
word. Hold on, let me go back to my notes. The word woke, right? It's
mhm,
not technically bad or misspelled or bad language, but in the terms that we use the word, it's bad language. Or it
mhm,
may be even like fam. That's not bad language. Or ghetto or ION. I don't want to. That's bad
mhm.
language. Like child. That's bad language. Like
But what? So I don't think it's bad language because like I don't. that's just a Southern drawl
For I
that
don't. Yeah, right.
right, that was pushed. I mean, because I also read that the roots of this AAVE stemmed from Southern dialect.
Mhm.
And so the misconception has always been with somebody that speaks country or has a Southern dialect, not all but most,
Mhm.
they're uneducated. And
Very that's true. That's not
that's
always
not
the
the
case.
case.
That's not that's
That's
not
not
that's not
always the case.
not always the
So
case.
so that's why I said what I said and stopped you where you were, because then we can go down a rabbit hole of
I mean, we can, but at the same time, is it not is not is Ebonics and slang not proper English though? Like,
no, it is. So you're right. It is not.
right,
But
that's what I'm saying.
Ebonics was like we be, stuff like that. That
Yeah.
was what Ebonics was.
But this is a part of that though.
Yeah, it stems from Ebonics. You're right. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm trying to safeguard you from saying like it's improper English because of how it is pronounced. When
I feel you. I feel you on
the
that.
majority of the words that we're talking about in AAVE right now, or the other term for it was Black English. The majority of the terms that in Black English stem from Southern dialect.
Agreed.
And both of us are from the South. Our dialect isn't heavy Southern, but there are times where we well intend to say a word correctly and it doesn't
It
come
doesn't
out how
come
it's
out
supposed
right.
to say.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. so
I agree.
so yeah, I was just trying to safeguard you from
I just
continue to go that
I
route.
agree. I just feel like we're taking it a little bit too far in a sense that other people can't say these words and these words should be acceptable in professional settings and business settings and stuff like that. I don't agree with that.
Mhm,
But I do agree with the fact that it should be a little bit more acceptable because that's just the way some people talk. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Like I say dead ass, head ass. I say though. I say extra. I don't say period because that's kind of I don't say that shit.
mm,
But I
mhm,
say let's get lit. I say stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But I won't go into a business meeting with my vice president of sales at
Mhm.
Enterprise and say, "Yo, we about to get lit up in this meeting. What's good with y'all?" I wouldn't do that.
All right. All right. No, I agree with you on that.
You know what I'm saying? It's lit as
There
fuck in here. Like, what the fuck?
yeah,
What would
yeah,
I
yeah.
say that for?
It's a we tell our kids all the time, it's a place and a time and
Time and
place for
place for everything. Yep.
and I don't think talking to your vice president like that is gonna help your case to move up in the corporate world. Some people want to, some people don't want to,
Right.
but it may be there may be a environment for you to talk to your peers like that. And it happens more than we know already. You know,
Hmm.
we do talk to our work peers like that. And then we don't go as heavy into it as we do, like, say, for instance, me and you, how we talk, or
Hmm.
how you and some of your other close friends talk. We might not go that heavy, but every once in a while, we let some AAVE pop off in
For
the
sure.
workplace, as evidenced by a couple of Twitter threads that I have seen saying that Bob from from accounting hit me with let's spin the block.
Spin the block.
Yeah, like,
I
I
saw that
mean,
one too. I saw that one too.
it obviously happens more than we like to realize, and I'm with you. Your initial statement is how we're gonna tell somebody that they can't use lit, they can't use fam, or whatever the term may be. These
Right.
terms aren't derogatory. They're not harming anybody. They don't have any roots in hatred or racism. So let's not hinder anybody from continue to embrace our culture, because that's ultimately what we want. We want people to embrace our
Embrace
culture.
us.
Now we
Right.
don't want them to steal it
Facts.
as and that is, I think, that is one of the complexities of this AAVE is, you know, stuff that we've created in this country and built in this country has been stolen from us and then later ultimately profited on. So
Hmm.
that could be a reason for why they don't want
That's a lot of the
people
argument. Yeah,
outside,
you're right.
yeah, people outside the race to do it. But my thing is, and I know people gonna hate me for saying this, it almost feels like, and you can tell that our people don't own much of anything in this country, and so whatever we can cling on to and hold on to, we safeguard it and say nobody else can have access to it
I
because
agree
we
with
don't
you.
have anything else.
I agree with you, bro.
Um, yeah, so I just it's again, I go back to my original thought. I don't know how to feel about this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy that is starting to be widely accepted,
Hmm.
but then I'm like, well, we were told not to speak like this when we were younger, and then you're also telling large a large part of the population that they can't use the language. So it then further silos the language within our culture.
Agreed. I think my final wisdom on it would be just like you said, man. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. So if it's really that serious, take it as a compliment for real. Like,
Hmm.
you know, people, and like I said earlier, people are a product of their environment. If you have a mixed environment, a mixed community, people are going to pick up different things from different people. I
Hmm.
pick up stuff from my Caucasian friends. I pick up stuff from my Hispanic friends. I pick up stuff from my Indian friends, my Asian friends. Like, I pick up a lot of things from different people. So like a lot of vernacular is going to cross.
Hmm.
I got, coworkers at work who are white that say dead ass and no cap and fam and stuff like that. They say that. I don't get
There's nothing
offended
wrong
by it.
with it.
There's
All
nothing
right.
wrong with that to me. You know what I'm saying? And just like I said, as long as they don't say the
You know
A
what
or hard R, I'm
we
cool.
about to talk
Say
about.
how you exactly. Say how you speak how you speak. I honestly don't care. Like,
Hmm.
I'm a very free person. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't take a lot of things seriously unless I'm very much disrespected. So as long as you don't
Hmm.
disrespect me, be who you are, dog. That's how I feel.
And so before we end the segment, I want you just said something that kind of sparked a thought in my head. Is do you think um, a lot of those that say they created AAVE, do you think they are offended because others are trying to utilize something that we created? And maybe I should be a little bit deeper with the question. Do you think they are being offended because as soon as we create something,
Mm-hmm.
it's taken from us
Mm-hmm.
and utilized? An example would be the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic, when these challenges were created
Mm-hmm.
and done by Black creators,
Mm-hmm.
it would be diminished, and then a white creator would come and do the exact same thing, and it would get glorified.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's why
I think
we're probably seeing?
I think that's a lot of the argument. And then I saw another video where a young lady was explaining AAVE, and she was saying if you haven't been through the struggle, you shouldn't be able to use the language. So
Mhm,
a lot of people are wrapping it into a lot of different things. As far as if you haven't come from the background that we've come from, then don't
mhm,
try to steal what we've created or what we know.
mhm,
But it's got a lot to do with just the like you said, man. There's a lot of things we don't own in this country in this world, and then the one thing that we feel like we have in our back pocket and it tries to get glorified by a different race or a different community. Now we got to hold on tight to it, and we can't let it
mhm.
go. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like I said, man, it's one of those things where just don't be disrespectful. As
Right.
long as you're not being disrespectful, speak how you speak. You know what I'm saying? And then we good. We have to code switch. Everybody does.
Mhm.
Literally everybody code switches. I'm speaking like this to my boy D'Lo right now. This is my boy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't pressed, or it's hella cool in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't sus. You know what I'm saying? But
Uh,
but I'm
my
dead
man
ass
running
gonna
down the
talk like
list.
this. You see what I'm saying? Because it's lit, and we finna do the rest of this episode. But when I'm with my job, I'm going to talk in a professional manner, and I'm going to make sure that they understand exactly what I'm saying and where I'm coming from because this is my job. So we have to code
Mhm.
switch. So don't take it that seriously, dog. Just don't take it that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree. I couldn't even add anything new to what you said. It's exactly how I feel. We all code switch. Is it flattering that we're telling people we have to tell people they can't use something that we created? Yeah, to a degree. But
Well, I guess like, I see what you mean by that. I see what
yeah,
you mean
to a
by that.
degree, because again, it just means that people are trying to embrace our culture. But when you do things like that, you better be prepared for backlash and
Mhm.
attention and people to use it anyway just because they
Because
can
they
and you
saying
can't
it
tell them
because
not
you
to.
telling them not to, exactly,
Right. Yeah, I really can't add anything else to what you said other than that.
for sure. But again, if y'all have any questions, comments, concerns about this topic, please drop it in the comments. We try to, respond to everybody that's down there. And before we get to the next one, like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what your thoughts are on AAVE. Do you use it in your everyday conversations? Do you not use it? Do you want to know more about the words that are a part of AAV or the phrases that are part of AAV? Let us know. We're happy to have a conversation with you in the comments. So, in a now deleted social media post, former University of Florida quarterback commit Marcus Stokes is seen on camera screaming, "Welcome back." N- I mean, I can say
You
it,
can say
but
it.
I'm not gonna say it while in the car. Since the post, the University of Florida has revoked his scholarship,
Mhm.
and then following the revoke, the
Revocation.
revocation. Thank you. That's that American.
That's that code switching.
Can't get a proper pronunciation out. But since the revocation of his scholarship, Stokes has followed with issuing an apology on his Twitter. So, Sticks, what's your thought on this situation with Marcus Stokes and his use of the N word?
To be honest, bro, there is of course I'm offended by it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That, a white guy said the N-word, right?
Hmm.
But to be honest, bro, I truly believe that there's a lot of people who are not black. It doesn't have to be just white. It could be any other race. There's a
Hmm.
lot of people who are not black who in their personal lives or behind closed doors say this word. He
Yeah.
just so happened to be dumb enough to post it on post it on Twitter. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying? And was it dumb? Hell yeah. You dumb motherfucker, you said the N-word on camera. Yes, you
Hmm.
deserve to have your scholarship revoked. But that just further shows that when he's behind closed doors with his other white friends and they rapping this same song, he gonna say the N-word. There's plenty of people. I've actually gotten confirmation from some of my white friends that they would never say it in public. They would never say it to me. They would never say it to any other black person. They would never say it. But when they rapping music, they going along with the song. They know the words
Hmm.
coming up. There are a couple of my other white friends that change the word to brother or something like that. But
Hmm.
they say it all the time. I know they do. Some of them probably
Right.
say hard R. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's one of those things where it's like going back to the last segment. Our culture is so revered across the country that every race around the sun low key want to be like us. I'll just be
Hmm.
honest. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like,
They
it's a
like
lot.
the culture.
I
They
like
like
the
the
culture.
culture, not the
I like the
idea
culture.
of being black, though.
Exactly. I was literally just about to say that. They
Yeah,
love
yeah,
the things that we do and how exciting that our culture is and the things that revolve around the culture. But the idea of actually being within the culture itself is not what that's not what they want. But it, he should have thought this out, bro. He should have thought this out.
So,
He just shouldn't have done it.
so
Number one, he shouldn't have done it,
yeah,
but
yeah, 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 yeah,
definitely shouldn't
yeah,
have done it on camera. What you think?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's unfortunate, and I think it is complex. And you know me and complexities,
Complexity, yeah, for
because I looked
get
at
into it, my
both
boy.
sides, right? And so it's unfortunate because you hate to see a young man with his talent lose the ability to go to the next level and play college football. And just at the moment, he seems to have ruined his future opportunity to go to
The
play
next
college
level, yeah.
football. Right. At the moment, I'm sure somewhere down the road he'll get another chance.
Mhm,
It's complex because he is a kid
mhm.
and he has to learn the hard way that as a high profile recruit, his life is under constant microscope.
Constant, for sure.
On the flip side of that, he also has to know that he can't say stuff like that just freely and
Agreed.
then publish it, you know,
For
publish it
millions of people to see.
on his social media. I can't tell if he's just if it was a lapse in judgment or if he was just arrogant. Because when certain kids get to the position that
Mhm,
he is in or was in, they get they get a confidence, but the confidence creeps slightly over to arrogance. I
mhm.
can't tell if it was arrogance because I don't know much about this kid.
Me either.
But the little bit that I did see in that post that we're talking about now, and then also some of his social media, he does kind of. I don't want to say he is. He does kind of seem a bit arrogant.
Mhm,
But what he did ultimately was he took that scene from White Chicks where they're in the car and they changed it from Vanessa Carlton's 100 Miles and they
mhm.
changed it to 50 Cent's realest N word. And they were like, nobody's around. You can say it. He took it and did that, but then his dumbass put it on the internet.
Mhm.
It's like I
Just
it's
going back to your question, though, I think it's a little bit of both, though. I think it's a little bit of arrogance, and I think it's a lapse in judgment. I think it's
oh, it's
both.
definitely a lapse in judgment,
Yeah.
but
I think it's a little bit of both.
being the yeah, being the fact that I don't know him, I don't know much about him. I'm just saying is arrogant. I'm asking, is it arrogance because he was like, well, I can say it because of who I am,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna put it out. I don't know. I can't say that factually.
But you know what's crazy is I'm now that I'm thinking about it, and you brought up that scene from White Chicks, this has probably happened to him before. That actual scene has probably happened to him before. Somebody on his team, a black dude on his team, probably was like, "Hey man, shit, you can say it around me. I don't care."
And so that's what I was gonna say too, because when I know I have played with a bunch of players from Nice. Now Nice is in
Got you.
St. Johns County, which is right outside of Jacksonville, which we all know is Duval County.
Mhm.
And Duval is a pretty, I mean,
It's a predominantly, yeah.
it's a pretty rough
It's
area.
a definitely
Yeah,
rough. I know. I
yeah,
one of my old managers from Duval County.
yeah. It's a pretty rough area. So
That dude's that dude's fucking confused was like this. Boy.
yeah, you know what I mean. So he probably has grown up. Or we know in the last segment we talked about, you are a product of your
Of your
environment.
environment for
He
sure.
he looks like his parents look like they're, you know, hardworking parents, but he probably grows up, suburban kid wanting to be a part of that, get a
Culture.
part of that hip hop culture. And he probably grew up that way. And so him singing the song is like, yeah, man, this is my culture. This is who I am. I can
Mhm,
say this because I'm singing the song. I don't mean any harm by it. I'm not trying to, call somebody the N word specifically. I'm just saying what the song said.
right.
And I mean, it's gonna hurt me to say this, and I can't believe I'm actually about to say this, but if we're gonna be butthurt about people outside of the black community reciting words from or reciting lyrics from songs and saying the N-word, then maybe we shouldn't say it in the songs.
And you know what's crazy? I tend to agree with you. But the only issue is that our community won't agree with us. Our community won't agree with us in that sentiment because that is that word is revered so much of a taking a negative and turning it into a positive. That's
Right.
you know what I'm saying, and that's how it's AAVE. That's how we talk to our people. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's like we will our people will never stop saying that word. That word,
Right.
I don't think that word will ever be taken out of our vernacular. Period. But
100%.
this guy, Marcus Stokes, should have understood because of the race that he is.
Mhm.
He cannot say that. And again, this is one of those things that, like you said, it's a product of your environment. And I'm pretty sure his parents taught him not to say that word.
Right.
But
100%.
it's one of those
Maybe.
things. Yeah, well, true. But it's one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like s- somebody gave him that kind of confidence and that kind of comfortability to say that word. And
100%.
especially if he's in Duval County, and especially if he's going to public school, which Nice is a public school, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it is.
I haven't played with anybody from Nice. I wasn't that big of a profile athlete like you
Oh,
were,
stop it.
but
Stop it.
but
Stop it.
but if he's going to public school in Duval County, predominantly, all of those schools in Duval are majority black schools. So
Not all
he,
of them, but they yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Not all of them,
well,
but yeah,
true,
yeah, yeah.
true, 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 true.
Yeah.
But well, public schools. I don't know about private schools. I think most of the public schools are predominantly majority black, right?
I don't know. I don't know the true dynamics
Gotcha.
of Duval County. I just know that it's some areas are
Are
really
really
rough.
rough for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. So I mean, it just gets back, like you said, the product of his environment, bro. He's around that culture so much that he feels free enough to indulge in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess then the question is, following what we know, is should we be concerned with overt racism increasing in our country?
Overt. Well, I guess you say overt racism with people saying the word and then blaming it on something else.
No, I mean like they just openly being racist.
Oh, I mean, it's going on now as it is. I mean,
Yeah, but I'm saying, is it, for a while there, it was all hidden. People may
mhm.
have been racist in private, but out in the public, they weren't.
But just
And
like
now it
Kanye
just seems
said,
to be
racism still alive. They just be concealing it.
the old Kanye said
Yeah, the
that.
old Kanye said
Um,
that.
I missed that Kanye.
Kanye said that. Ye didn't
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that shit.
yeah, yeah.
True.
No, but no, because I asked because it seemed to be escalating
Mhm.
as of lately, right?
Yeah.
So it used to be done in private, now it's done openly, not by everybody, obviously, but
Mhm.
it's done openly. Is the next step that we're gonna see more rallies
True.
now? Are we gonna see more windows broken with bricks and letters on it saying, I'm asking, is that gonna increase? Because I feel like the reason Florida took the stance that they took is because a couple of weeks ago, a young lady by the name of Sophia Rosing was expelled from Kentucky for continuously saying the N word while um, physically assaulting a young black student while
I
she was
didn't hear that.
intoxicated. You didn't hear about
I
that?
think I
Okay,
did. I
yeah.
think I did actually. I think I heard it. I didn't.
Y-
I don't think I
y-
paid much attention to it, but I think I heard it. I think I heard about it. Yeah.
Right. So, like, I feel like Florida
Hmm.
in the aftermath of that situation took the stance that they took because of that situation, much like Nike took the stance that they took with Kyrie because of the aftermath of Kanye.
Hmm.
So are we seeing the increase in overt racism and this being one of the ways to kind of stop it in its tracks?
I believe so. I believe so. I think I can agree with you on that. I mean, well, I don't know if that's. I don't know if you agree with me if that's the case, but I don't think. I think that as as a community, and I'm just speaking for the black community itself, we're
Mm,
so strong within our ways that I don't think we will allow a lot of the overt racism to happen because we speak out
right.
about everything. We
Hmm.
going we us as a community, we're gonna stop it in its tracks regardless. It ain't got to do nothing with
Right.
Florida, ain't got to do nothing with Alabama or what you say she Alabama, Arkansas. Which one you say? The girl, Miss
Kentucky?
Kentucky. There you go. Ain't got nothing to do with
Yeah.
Kentucky. Got nothing to do with Florida. And it got we're gonna stop it ourselves because we're
Hmm.
so openly against everything racist, especially when it
Right.
comes to us.
Right.
So, but in a sense of that though, I think it would. I think it does have a lot. I think the punishments are going to be more like this now, where something happens and then now, oh shit, if this happens with us, we got to take a bigger stance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which is what Florida did with Mr. Stokes. So it's like, I think that's going to happen more often than overt racism because if something racist happens somewhere else, everybody else is going to be aware of it because of social media. So now,
100%.
now they have to take a stance like, oh shit, we don't want to be seen as racist. So now we got to take this bigger stance and take his scholarship away or fire
Mhm.
him or take his endorsement or, cancel him altogether. So it's like, I think that would happen before overt racism takes over.
I just so I have a soft spot in my heart for kids. Um,
Me too.
and I know he's not necessarily a kid being the fact that he's a senior in high school, but
Mhm.
he's still a kid.
Mhm.
I hate the fact that he will probably lose a chance at playing football at a university, a high profile university
Mhm.
at that, because and we don't know if he truly was singing a song or not. It was only a 2-second clip.
Facts. I saw that. Yeah.
Um, but because he was singing a song. I think if anything, Florida could have used this, or any college that's in this predicament could have used this as a learning experience for him. Like, okay, listen, we're gonna bring you in, but in order for you to be a part of this team, you have to perform X, Y, and Z. Kind of like I mean, shit,
Kyrie, kind of like what
just
they did with
what they did
Kyrie.
to Kyrie.
Hmm.
Have a list of things that he has to complete in order for him to be a part of the team, and make sure that he receives a message like, okay, you cannot do stuff like this. Um, you just can't do it.
Hmm.
But everybody deserves a second chance. I don't know if he's done this before in the past. I don't know what his past is like, but I do feel like I do feel bad that he's probably gonna miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
On the other side, though, he does have to understand, like, no, this is not gonna fly,
There's a
man, because
consequence to your actions. Yeah.
there are consequences to your actions. But then it's like, if this is allowed to go on, where do you draw that line at? It says, no, that's too much.
Hmm.
Because if you're saying, oh well, you can rap a song and post it, that's okay. Nobody gonna say anything about
Nah,
that.
fuck that.
But you can't be drunk and say the N word to a black student multiple times.
While you beating our
Where
ass.
where right, where does that line where is that line at in between those two scenarios? That's like
I think that line is drawn at the word itself. Like you have to be punished for that word, especially if you're not of that culture.
and so that's what I was getting at is
Even black people don't say hard R. You know what I'm saying? Like that word would I don't hear any black people saying hard R. We say, you
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying? And I
yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like just that word with those two forms should not be said by anybody of the Caucasian persuasion.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I just think we have such a visceral
Mhm.
response to that word, um, that it clouds our judgment sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
that's
see
all.
that.
I'll keep it at that, and that'll be my final thought. Is we need to figure out where those lines are and stick to it, because it can't be, oh, he said it, he posted it, he loses his scholarship, and then 2 weeks, 2 years later, somebody does something similar that's not white, but he's like Latin or something like that, and we let it slide.
True.
It has to be the standard has to be set and has to be enforced across the board. If not, don't just let it go.
Just let
Period.
it go, period. I agree. I agree. And the way he said it, he
He
said
said
it
it hard, bro.
hard, bro. Like
Not a hard
he
but
didn't
he
say
said it
hard
hard.
ER, but he said it like
Yeah, yeah,
aggressive, like welcome back.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was like,
Right,
damn, you said this
right.
before, ain't you?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
you
You've
done
been
said
here
this
before.
before. You done been here
Yeah,
before. So he was way too
yeah. You've been
comfortable.
here
But
before.
I think my final thought was, like I said, he had definitely been there before, but he just has to have a little bit more wherewithal within himself. Like, hey, this is not something I should be, number one, saying, but
Hmm.
number two, being comfortable enough to post it for millions of people to see. To put
Right.
myself in jeopardy of me getting the opportunity to play at the next level and then possibly further in my future. Because,
Hmm.
the Florida Gators is one of the top tier schools, especially if you're trying to make it to the NFL. So it's like now, if he goes to a junior college, now you done really messed it up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of junior
Hmm.
colleges don't get that exposure. Some people do go from junior college to go D1 or D2 and be able to still make it. I had a couple people on my team like that at Central.
Hmm.
But, you gotta he just has to he already apologized, but he got to make sure that the people going forward, these organizations and these schools know that, hey, that was a mistake. I would never do it again. So
All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my final thoughts on it.
All right, bro. So that's episode 11.
Episode 11.
Pardon My Wisdom,
Yes, sir.
season 1. in the books.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love
We
it.
appreciate all the love that we've gotten in the last couple of weeks and throughout our entirety of performing and putting on this podcast. We really do appreciate it. Sticks and I, like we mentioned, go through the comments. We try to answer most of them, interact with you all, just to give you our thoughts on your comments and just appreciate the love and support that you've
You can
given us.
say y'all, nigga. You ain't gotta say you all. You can say y'all. You can say AAV on this podcast.
I didn't say y'all.
You say you all.
Oh, you know, I just tapping into my up north roots.
Tapping
That's
in,
all.
code switching. That's what you doing.
Yeah. I was code switching 100%. But no, we appreciate the support that we've gotten, and we hope you guys continue to support us. Make sure you're sharing our content as well,
Please.
not only on YouTube, but also the streaming platforms that you may listen to the podcast on, whether that's Apple, whether that's Spotify, Google, whatever the platform is that you listen to. We're on all platforms. Share that content and make sure that you hit that like button and comment as well. Subscribe too.
All that good shit. For sure.
All of it.
Yes,
but with that being said, man, we out.
We out. Peace.